$38 billion. That is how much JetSky Airlines lost in just 48 hours, all because of one assumption, one mistake, and one passenger who refused to be judged by the color of her skin. This isn't a story about a plane crash, a strike, or a technical failure. It's about Marsha Coleman, a woman who quietly held the controlling stake in the airline's debt. And the moment a flight attendant decided she didn't belong in seat 1A. Before we dive in, I want to ask you, where are you watching this from? What city? What country? And if you enjoy stories about justice, karma, and people getting what they deserve, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps the channel grow. Now, let's get into the story. It was a rainy Thursday evening at JFK Airport, Terminal 5. The kind of gray, drizzling rain that makes everyone move slower, that makes tempers shorter. Inside the first-class lounge, however, the air smelled of espresso and expensive cologne, soft jazz playing faintly in the background. Marsha Coleman sat in a corner, far away from the buffet, far away from anyone who might recognize her. She wasn't trying to hide. She was exhausted. After a grueling week of negotiations and acquisitions, she needed privacy. On the outside, she looked unremarkable black blazer over a casual t-shirt, worn sneakers, oversized headphones covering her ears, a baseball cap low over her forehead. To anyone else, she might have seemed like just another traveler trying to escape the airport chaos. But Marsha was anything but ordinary. She was the founder and CEO of Coleman Capital, a private investment firm that rarely made headlines, yet quietly controlled billions in assets. One of those assets just happened to be the Series B convertible bonds that kept JetSky Airlines afloat after the pandemic. Bonds that she personally oversaw. Her net worth was $8 billion. But all she wanted right now was 6 uninterrupted hours of sleep before her 10 p.m. flight to London. She purchased seat 1 at full price for privacy and peace. She waited until the last possible moment to board, hoping to avoid the crowd. As she approached the jet bridge, her phone buzzed. A message from her legal counsel read, "Deal closed. Congratulations, Marsha. Get some rest." She smiled faintly, pocketed the phone, and stepped onto the plane. The cabin lighting was soft, designed to calm passengers, but tension lingered in the air. The flight attendants moved briskly, focused on completing their pre-flight duties. Marsha found her seat, dropped her leather duffel into the overhead bin, and reclined, closing her eyes. But her peace was short-lived. A sharp tap on the shoulder interrupted her. "Excuse me, ma'am," said a flight attendant named Karen, her forced smile failing to reach her eyes. Marsha blinked, lifting one headphone slightly. "Yes?" Karen demanded her boarding pass, glancing at her hoodie, her sneakers, her calm, composed demeanor. "There's a discrepancy," she said. "You need to come with me." Marsha, calm and collected, handed over her boarding pass. Karen scrutinized it, her eyes narrowing, her fingers tapping the tablet. In her mind, this seat should belong to someone else, someone older, someone white, someone who looked like they could afford first class. Karen didn't see Marsha Coleman, billionaire and owner of the airline's debt. She saw a problem. "Ma'am," Marsha said softly, "I paid full price for this seat." "I am not moving." Karen's expression tightened. "We prioritize our Diamond Medallion members," she said, emphasizing each word. "You are not listed." "You are in the wrong seat." Marsha raised an eyebrow, the faintest edge of impatience creeping into her voice. "I am the correct passenger for seat 1A. Please respect my ticket purchase." Karen huffed, clearly unused to being contradicted, and stormed toward the cockpit. Within moments, Captain Miller appeared, broad-shouldered, silver-haired, his face red with irritation. "Ma'am," he barked, "you are being asked to leave your seat." Marsha, calm, raised her hand slightly. "I have the right to remain seated." "You are violating your own protocol." The cabin went silent. Passengers exchanged glances, some raising phones to record what was unfolding. Across the aisle, an elderly man whispered to her, warning about Karen's reputation, but Marcia simply nodded. She was ready for this. When the captain reached down to remove her headphones, she looked up at him with eyes that had stared down hostile boards, regulators, and CEOs. "You have 3 seconds to remove your hands," she said softly. The tension in the cabin was suffocating. Karen Smug thought she had authority. She was about to find out that authority alone does not equal power. Marcia reached into her pocket and with the calmest tone, simply said, "I will not be moved. I suggest you reconsider before you escalate this." The captain and Karen called for security, unaware of who they were dealing with. Private contractors arrived, large, aggressive, expecting a routine removal. Marcia raised her hands. She did not resist physically, but she did not comply. Every movement was deliberate. Every second counted. Phones recorded, hearts raced. The security officers tried to lift her from the seat. One knee into her ribs, one yank after another. Marcia gritted her teeth, endured the pain, and remained calm. She tasted copper from a minor cut inside her mouth, but did not flinch. She knew exactly what she had to do. She pulled out her phone, checked the time, and opened contacts. Victor Vance, her chief counsel, answered immediately. "Victor, I am currently being assaulted and forcibly removed from my seat. I am injured." "Do not let this slide," she said, calm, precise. Within minutes, her team understood the gravity. Every move, every call, every press release, every social media post would be calculated to create leverage. While the plane prepared for departure, Marcia's instructions were clear. This was not about revenge. This was about justice, leverage, and demonstrating the consequences of arrogance and prejudice. By 8:45 p.m., a passenger had uploaded the video to social media. The first 100 views were curious. The next 1,000 were shocked. By 9:15, the algorithm caught fire. Retweets, shares, reposts. Analysts quickly identified her identity. The internet realized the airline had physically assaulted the person who controlled their debt. Panic began to ripple through the financial networks. By the time the plane took off, Marcia had already set the stage for a financial chain reaction that no one on board could imagine. JetSky Airlines was about to experience a downfall unlike anything in modern corporate history. By the time JetSky Airlines Flight 442 was cruising above the Atlantic, the storm had already reached the company's boardrooms. Within minutes of the viral video hitting social media, investors began to panic. The footage of Marcia Coleman, a calm, unflinching woman being forcibly removed from her seat, spread like wildfire. Headlines screamed across financial platforms. "Billionaire assaulted by airline staff." JetSky Airlines in crisis after passenger incident. Equity plummets following viral video. Marcia sat quietly, headphones on, listening to the ambient hum of the cabin, while her phone buzzed relentlessly. Every notification was a new development, a new opportunity. She didn't celebrate, she didn't gloat. She simply monitored the flow of information, knowing that the company's weakness was now exposed to the world. By 11 p.m., JetSky stock had dropped 18% in pre-market trading for the next day, and analysts were predicting far worse. Social media influencers and journalists swarmed every angle, analyzing every word Karen, the flight attendant, had said. Comments condemned the airline's treatment of a customer, pointing out the racial and social bias that fueled the incident. Marcia's legal team drafted statements for release, emphasizing that the assault of a paying passenger, especially one holding critical financial assets, could not go unnoticed. Meanwhile, her private equity connections quietly began leveraging her control over JetSky's convertible bonds. The airline's lines of credit began to tighten. Banks, wary of the negative press and potential lawsuits, froze certain accounts. By the time the plane landed in London, the CEO of JetSky Airlines was on a flight of his own, rushing to contain the damage. But the real dominoes had already begun to fall. Within the first 12 hours of the video circulation, every major shareholder was scrambling. Marcia's team issued an official statement highlighting her position as a key investor and condemning the unlawful removal. Public opinion shifted decisively in her favor. Airline customers began canceling bookings in droves. Social media campaigns urging boycotts surged, and the airline's reputation took a catastrophic hit. By the next morning, JetSky Airlines stock had plummeted by 37%. Rumors of lawsuits and financial fallout only accelerated the panic. The company's board held emergency meetings, but the numbers were grim. They had no immediate liquidity to counteract the withdrawals, and more importantly, they had underestimated the power of one decisive individual. Marcia, meanwhile, remained composed, traveling quietly to London. In private meetings, her lawyers negotiated terms that made it clear JetSky Airlines would face immediate restructuring, and any attempt to downplay the incident would only worsen the financial and public relations consequences. By 24 hours after the initial incident, JetSky was hemorrhaging cash. Airline ticket cancellations doubled. Investors demanded board accountability, and every journalist with a social media account was dissecting the company's every move. Calls to the airline's customer service lines were flooded with complaints citing discrimination, unsafe practices, and corporate arrogance. Marcia had not physically harmed anyone, nor had she sought revenge in any conventional sense. Her power lay in the financial leverage she possessed, and her patience, restraint, and clarity allowed her to activate it at precisely the right moment. Within 36 hours, the board realized the full extent of the crisis. Banks and investors refused further funding until emergency reforms were enacted. JetSky's leadership was forced to resign under immense public pressure. Shareholders sued, claiming mismanagement and negligence. Headlines now read, JetSky Airlines implodes after viral passenger incident, and billionaire enforces accountability in unprecedented way. By the 48-hour mark, JetSky Airlines had effectively declared bankruptcy. The chain reaction caused by one flight attendant's bias, one captain's misplaced authority, and one billionaire's unwavering resolve was complete. The company had fallen not because of market forces or technical failure, but because of human error, arrogance, and discrimination. Marcia Coleman emerged from the ordeal with her reputation intact, respected globally for her intelligence, restraint, and courage. Her calm in the face of aggression demonstrated that power is not in physical force, but in clarity, resources, and the ability to act decisively. The world had witnessed a rare example of justice, swift and undeniable. Airlines everywhere re-examined their protocols, training, and bias policies. Staff were reminded that authority must be tempered with respect, and that discrimination in any form carries consequences that extend far beyond a single moment. Marcia's story became a case study in finance, ethics, and corporate responsibility. Universities analyzed it in classrooms, journalists dissected it in opinion columns, and the public discussed it on every social media platform. One person, by refusing to accept injustice, had set off a chain of events that changed an entire industry. This story is not only about money, power, or revenge. It is about dignity, respect, and the consequences of failing to see the humanity in every person you encounter. It reminds us that privilege and authority are never shields from accountability. Every action has a reaction, every choice has a ripple, and sometimes the smallest confrontation sparks the largest change. Marcia Coleman proved that when you combine patience, strategy, and unwavering moral clarity, even the most entrenched institutions can be forced to confront their failings. So, to all of you watching, wherever you are, remember this story. Think about your own life, your choices, and how you treat others. And if this story inspired you, if you were shocked, outraged, or simply amazed by what one person could achieve, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It helps us continue bringing stories that reveal justice, courage, and the hidden power within us all.